Ladies and gentlemen, in the first 6 months of 2026, Vietnam seafood exports maintained positive growth despite continued volatility in global markets, intensifying competition, and increasingly stringent import regulations. Total seafood export value reached $5.766 billion, up 12.7% year-on-year. In the second quarter alone, exports exceeded $3.12 billion, an increase of 11%. However, growth slowed from 14% in the first quarter, indicating mounting pressure from weaker purchasing power, production costs, tariffs, and compliance requirements in major markets. By product category, shrimp remained the leading export item, generating nearly $2.35 billion, up 14.2% and accounting for more than 40% of total export value. Pangasius exports surpassed $1.11 billion, up 11.7%. Other fish increased by 11.4%, and cephalopod exports rose by 17.9%. Tuna was the only major product group to decline, falling by 1.6%. One of the most notable developments in the first half of the year was not only the performance of traditional products, but also the rapid expansion of 5 high-growth product groups. Scallop exports led the group, reaching $48.6 million, up 141%. Tilapia followed with $69.4 million, up 67.3%, highlighting its potential in the affordable whitefish segment. Swimming crab exports reached $43.1 million, up 55.9%, while cod exports amounted to $68.1 million, up 54.8%, mainly supported by market demand and constrained global supply. The most significant product in terms of scale was spiny lobster, with exports of nearly $578 million, up 45.2%. It was not only among the fastest growing products, but also one of the largest contributors to Vietnam's seafood export earnings during the period. By market, China ranked first with nearly $1.394 billion, up 38.7% and accounting for more than 24% of total export value. It was the largest contributor to growth, particularly for spiny lobster, shrimp, and pangasius. The next 4 standout growth markets were Brazil, with $123.8 million, up 31.4%, Singapore, with $75.3 million, up sharply by 65.4%, Colombia, with $32.1 million, up 45.3%, and Egypt, with $30.9 million, up 40.6%. Together, these 5 markets accounted for approximately 28.7% of total export value, demonstrating that market diversification is delivering tangible results. Overall, the market structure continued to shift strongly toward Asia. China and Hong Kong became Vietnam's largest seafood market, reaching $1.47 billion, up 36.4%, and serving as the main driver of overall growth. ASEAN and South Korea also maintained positive performance. By contrast, exports to the United States and the EU declined slightly, while growth in Japan remained modest. In the second half of the year, exports may be supported by year-end seasonal demand, recovery in China, and consumer preference for convenient, reasonably priced products. However, businesses will continue to face tariff risks in the United States, MMPA, SIM, and COA requirements, the EU's catch system, and increasingly strict rules on raw material origin and traceability. Under the baseline scenario, Vietnam seafood exports in 2026 are projected to reach approximately $12.1 to $12.4 billion. To achieve this target, the seafood sector needs to further leverage its strengths in value-added processing, expand emerging high-growth product segments, and strike a better balance between traditional and potential markets. Thank you for watching.